Fraser, 2026 is upon us, so we are going to be doing some of our big predictions for the year ahead. Fraser, it's good to be back. How's your New Year's?
Lovely, thank you very much. Yeah, brilliant. How was yours?
Very good. We're in the cold season as well. I've got to start off by saying that, so I thought I'd put my hat, my scarf on. What is it outside, like -2, 3, 4?
Yeah, -20. Let's go with
It's
that.
awful. So
It is cold. It's icy out there.
It's quite warm in your living room though. So I was going to keep this bit up for a bit, but I'm just going to take this off actually because it's freezing. Look like I should be on the terraces. Freezing. So we're going to be predicting 2026. What's going to happen this year? Basically, we're going to have a quick sort of rundown, sort of reflect on some of our early season predictions as well. See how wildly wrong we've gone. Our bottom of the championship, not looking too good at this moment in time.
Oh yeah, that was a terrible shout. I was quite firm on that as well, but I don't actually know if it's even mathematically possible anymore. No, it definitely is, but they won't finish even anywhere near 10th. So
you put Hamilton Accies to win the league as well? Or?
Did I have?
No, I can't remember.
No,
Did you put in Vanessa? I remember you were debating that one.
No, I actually think I had a Hamilton. Now you mention it,
I might have done. Yeah,
I might have done too well. I backed St Johnstone, whereas I think you might have gone.
I did go County. That's gone terribly.
Yeah,
we'll reflect on all
you
this
left that one out.
We'll reflect on this all very soon. But before we get there, as well as being 2026, we are most certainly in the season of sackings as well, Fraser. Football in general, I mean, down south as well. We've seen the Manchester United job, the Chelsea jobs come up this week in Scotland. Aberdeen, Celtic. In terms of managers coming in as well, we've seen Kilmarnock hire a new manager this week as well. Greenock Morton hiring a new manager. It's all going.
I know it's good fun. I'm glad my team's not involved. Your team has actually been involved.
We're part of the merry-go-round.
Part of the merry-go-round. Your team kind of started it, I think. Really, if we go back now,
I don't know how much with the Celtic sort of link. You know,
True,
but certainly
true.
We've done a manager swap with Morton these days. Ian Murray back in management at Greenock Morton as well. Later on in this episode, to not spoil some of the challenges we've got coming up at the end, we'll be talking about Aberdeen and Jimmy Tulane. But it's only right that we do start off with a bit of Wilfried Nancy chat.
We should. Yeah, it's absolutely the biggest story in Scotland right now, I think.
He's been and gone, and I still don't even know if it's Nancy or Nancy. That's crazy, isn't it?
No, I think I know what it is, but you told me I wasn't allowed to say that. Right. I think it is Nancy.
Is it right? Okay, but I just hear something different every time. So.
From a personal point of view, quite disappointed. We had this discussion on our last episode. We sort of spoke about Wilfried Nancy and how I kind of wanted to see him succeed. I felt sorry for him. I feel like he was thrown in at the deep end. He didn't really have the sort of the tools to really back him. He came in, it was a poison chalice really. A club legend, club hero left. And then he was sort of given the reins to a sort of sinking ship almost. In fairness, he did not help himself, and I think I would have to hold my hands up and admit that at times some of his decision making was a little bit baffling. I think particularly actually in the first game against Hearts, that's when everyone would have been quite shocked. I know Celtic hired a manager with a very specific philosophy and formation that he liked to play, but I did think it was possibly a little bit naive to implement that in the first game of his tenure at home to the title leaders at that point. So, it didn't get much better. I think there was a lot of shoots of promise for him at times. Particularly, I think if you spoke to any Celtic fan at half-time on Sunday, they would have said he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. But that
I'm not sure they would have done that.
But they were playing scintillating football, dominated Rangers, and yeah, that was kind of the case in a lot of sort of 45-minute spells in a lot of the other matches. But like was the case at Tannadice, they weren't able to back their first half performance up in the second half, and he's paid the price for it. So, crazy 33 days in the box seat for Wilfried Nancy, and Martin O'Neill's back.
Yeah, he is big time, and I think this is going to be pub quiz stuff to come for years to come, isn't it, what we've just witnessed? But no, I agree with you for the whole part. I think we said we wanted to talk a bit about the Wilfried Nancy thing because, it's all you're probably going to hear on the radio and the TV for the next month or the rest of the season, maybe even. But we had our own sort of takes on it as well. Not to say, Martin O'Neill said as soon as he came in that he's sure Wilfried Nancy is going to go and be a successful manager elsewhere. Certainly the whole situation just never seemed like it was gonna work out from the start. A man, as you say, with such principle, coming in at such a difficult time of the season, and he sort of spoke. I don't know, did you see the 7-minute answer he gave Sky Sports? Did you see that yourself?
I had clips of it. I didn't listen to the
I
whole
sat
thing.
down and watched the whole thing. And to be fair, I kind of watched the whole thing and thought, he's not actually said anything wrong this entire thing.
Yeah.
It all makes sense, and I get where he's coming from. But he's also hit the nail on the head at the same time. So he's saying he needed a pre-season. And it's like, well, mate, you're not going to get a pre-season. It's too late. If you were hired in the summer and you had a pre-season and you weren't getting the results, and he'd probably say himself, fair enough, but he wasn't brought in at that time. He was brought in before 3 of the biggest games of the season, a chance to maybe salvage something in Europe. A game against the title favourites Hearts really sort of push them to the side. They could have done that at that point, certainly had that feel, the run they were on. And then, of course, a cup final. Such a difficult time to come in for a job. My take on it as well, to you, I've mentioned this briefly, is that my hot take sort of is that I think if Ange Postecoglou was dropped into that job at that time, he would have probably had a similar struggle in terms of performances. I think he's obviously a much better talker than Wilfried Nancy. I don't think he'd probably go down the same way. Certainly, I'm a big Ange Postecoglou fan, but he had a whole pre-season, and it took quite a while for him to embed his ideas into the squad. He's certainly a philosophy man as well.
Yeah, on that, yeah, definitely. I think if he was coming now in his first tenure with, when he was sort of an unknown quantity to a lot of Celtic fans, then yeah, I think he would have had the pressure that Nancy had. I think if he was to come in,
if he was to come back,
they would give him
different.
time.
100%, yeah.
They'd probably give him until next January to work it out if he needed to. But that's the thing. That's what kind of frustrated me. I think the media kind of jumped on him very early on after the St Mirren Cup final and the Roma defeat. That there was calls for him to get the sack then, and that's when I really struggled with that, because at that point it wasn't a catastrophic appointment. It hadn't gone well. It's not what Celtic fans would have wanted. It's not what the board would have wanted. But it wasn't catastrophic, and a lot of people were calling it a catastrophic appointment at that time. I think the issue was the atmosphere that was building around, whether it was through the media, whether it was the fan base. It's a mix of the two. Kind of just led it to creating an atmosphere that kind of made it impossible for Wilfried Nancy to succeed. He didn't help himself, as we've touched on. I think certainly, if he'd been a little bit more flexible, I think it's great. I'm a big fan of managers that have a philosophy and they've got a vision and they see a long-term plan. But as you say, and you were talking about it earlier, I think the best managers are also adaptable. Like Steve Clarke, for example, he's shown that he's looked at the personnel. He's sort of tried the sort of 3 at the back, 5 at the back. He's played 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1 whenever it needs to be done. And I think it's in some circumstances, and I think maybe, I doubt Wilfried Nancy will think this, because he's very principled in the way that he sets his team up to play. But I think just particularly in that game against Hearts, and maybe 1 or 2 other games when they didn't have the personnel to play 3-4-3, they maybe could have reverted to maybe 4 at the back, to allow the personnel that they had at the time to play in their more natural positions. But I respected what he was doing. I respected the fact that he had a vision. It just maybe you just look at everything, as we say. If you brought him in the off season, maybe if he hadn't been appointed and Martin O'Neill stayed on till the end of the season, he'd come in June. Potentially, we could be talking about him being a great success. But unfortunately, I think he was set up to fail, unfortunately, for him and for Celtic, really. Yeah,
well, I mean, I agree with you there, and but I do think it is utterly naive to go into a job with. He's obviously he had a long-term plan with it, a long-term vision for it. To have absolutely there was no short-term planning. There was none. It'd be silly to suggest he had a short-term plan at all, which I think is so naive. He's almost cutting off your nose to spite your face a little bit. Him just shoehorning players in. At least it was sort of a sink or swim situation. That's how it is constructed. It's a narrative that's it is pushed by the media that, this is Celtic, they need to win every week. The fans can be like that as well, as you say, and it piled on the pressure. It's sink or swim, and he's sort of like trying to make a boat, he's in Bossy's sinking, out, and he's making it out of matchsticks as well. So he's basically he basically just had no chance of succeeding in that system. You'd look at the people that hired him. Why would you hire a manager that's principled? You know what he's going to be, Was it what did Luke McCowan say? A spade's a spade or something like that. Is that what he said? You're not wrong. Yeah. That's exactly what he was going to be. That's what he was going to do. It was always going to be like that. He didn't even get through the end of January, and certainly destined to fail, just from that perspective, certainly. So Celtic, best of luck to them, I guess, for the rest of the season. But I do hope someone else comes in and wins the league. Not Rangers either, though.
For Celtic?
No. Someone other than Celtic or Rangers win the league. Yeah, that's what I'm saying there.
We'll talk about that.
We will touch on that very soon.
Very soon, and I'm very excited to talk about that.
2 apologies, Fraser, before we get to the main body of this episode. Magnuson. Where's Magnuson from? We were so confident in the last episode.
I know. Aaron Fraser was confident.
Yeah.
But yes, we have educated ourselves like every good podcast presenters and hosts should. We should have done it before that last episode, but he is in fact Icelandic.
Which very confidently said he was Norwegian.
Yeah. I think his name actually is more Icelandic. Like we possibly could have and should have picked up on that, but also it's just quite Scandinavian so I think he came from the Icelandic Premier League, like taken to the Scottish Premier League like a duck to water. So apologies from us to
not a duck to water sort of a not the most glamorous duck, but he's got there. He got there in the end slowly,
the ugly duckling. Yeah.
Second apology to Kostorfin Dynamo. Or it's more of a shout out, actually. It's a huge shout out. I've not told this. As soon as we posted our last clip where Conrad Balatoni was, of course, shouted out by Aaron Fraser, had some unreal knowledge to know that he was playing for Kostorfin Dynamo. Said he was playing Sunday amateurs. They reached out to say, thanks for the shout out. Brilliant for them. From them. Great from them. Said he plays for the Saturday team.
Oh, right.
So, and then they sent this clip, which I've not shown you yet. So I'll get it on screen as well. Yeah. Look at Conrad Balatoni's penalty taking style. This is unreal stuff. Describe it for the audio listeners here.
So, I mean, the goalkeeper is actually, they're flummoxed in every single. So here is Conrad Balatoni with the ball set on the penalty spot. Referee blows his whistle, and you expect Conrad Balatoni to take 5-6 steps back. Why would he?
Doesn't even take a step.
Why would he bother? Just swings his right foot at it.
The no-step penalty.
The no-step penalty.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
From a former SPFL stalwart centre back to a Saturday goal-scoring penalty machine. They sent us this clip.
Yes, that's fantastic. Well, shout out to Kostorfin Dynamo.
Brilliant.
What's quite fascinating about each of these penalties? I mean, I would guess there's zero power in the shot, but he sticks it in the corner every time, and the goalkeeper in every clip here is so sort of shocked and caught off guard.
He never took one at A United, did he? No.
Not that I can remember.
So there you go.
Well,
there's a shout out to Kostorfin Dynamo as well. Right, should we get into the main bit of this episode?
Absolutely.
Run the intro.
You're a long way from home. This is Brazil.
James McFadden scores for Scotland. The afternoon belongs to Lewis Vaughan. Make it 3. It's 3-0.
Balatoni. Surely.
I mean, there could be. I mean, I think you've just written a Conrad Balatoni song there.
Yeah. Shall we start singing that on the way back in?
Go for it.
So we were just discussing there whilst the intro was running. I don't know if there's any Kostorfin Dynamo, Ayr United, Alloa, Hearts fans out there that can maybe confirm whether or not there was a Balatoni song. Because surely, I feel like there's something in the back of my mind that, what's the story Balatoni? Wouldn't you like to know?
It writes itself, man. It's beautiful.
Surely that was a chant in the terraces somewhere. But if any of the fans of Conrad Balatoni's club, or just Conrad Balatoni himself or his family members, can confirm whether or not that was a song. Because surely, what's the story Balatoni?
It writes itself. It's brilliant
Wouldn't
stuff.
we like to know?
I'd love to know. Right. What else would you like to know? We'd like to know your predictions for 2026, Fraser. That's what we're here today to do. So we're going to look through the Premiership, the Championship, League One, League Two. Pretty rapid fire this one today, but just going to be looking at who we think is going to be holding up the league title trophies at the end of the season and who might be going down the other way. So Fraser, we did do our predictions at the start of the season for each league, and we'll probably come back at the end of the year to fully reflect on them. But today we're going to do a quick fire look ahead to 2026, and what better place to start than the Scottish Premiership, where we do have possibly the best title race I've ever seen in my life, probably personally, in the Scottish Premiership. 3 teams, And that's you have to say Motherwell and Hibs aren't actually that far off the points tallies as well. But certainly 3 sort of teams you would say at the front of that. Fraser, who do you think will be holding the Scottish Premiership come the end of the season?
Well, I've thought long and hard about this, and I thought, just don't get involved, Fraser. You've embarrassed yourself at the start of the season with your predictions. They were terrible. There's no, you can't win. I'm not going to win. So I thought maybe I should just leave this to you, Callum. But if I had to, gun to my head, I'm going to nail my colours to Tynecastle.
Good man. I could make an argument for all 3, and I think I can make a really good argument.
3, honestly, I could make an argument for 5.
Okay, I could make an argument for 3, which I thought was quite good. Yeah. I put Celtic down. I'd like to put Hearts down. I'd like to believe in it, and I actually do believe in it. I do believe in Hearts. I think Hearts could win it. Hearts could definitely win it. Rangers could also win it. I've put Celtic down. So why have you gone for Hearts?
I just think there's just been too much consistency and solidity there. Okay, they've slipped up on occasion, but even when they've slipped up, against Hibs, it was away from home in a derby against a free-flowing Hibs team. And okay, they were miles off it until maybe the 70th minute, but they came back into it and they almost nicked a draw. So they've just shown time and time again that even in the games where they've not particularly played well, or even in the games where they've been bettered, they could even still come away with a point or a win.
January transfer window as well. They've been getting their business done nice and early.
Exactly. And I expect them maybe to add a few more. And it's worked almost every single transfer that they've brought in the summer.
And then your right back came in immediately, got an assist as well on the weekend against Livy. Chesnikov, I think Derek McKinnon said he's the player who spoke the most about in his career, and he never even met him. So I think he's finally arriving. I've seen their social medias getting absolutely blitzed by Kazakhstani football fans as well. So this guy is coming in with the reputation that he's the real deal.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think I've not seen much of him. I've seen a couple of sort of highlights, clips. He seems like the real deal.
Benny Binningham back fit as well is huge in that midfield alongside Cammy Devlin.
They just seem to have a well-run club. Threat at both ends of the park, solid in the middle. Choose which goalkeeper you want. They've got depth in goals. Everywhere that every other club is kind of failing a little bit, Hearts seem to be getting it right. So it's not with a huge amount of confidence, because with Celtic they've had a blip. I just don't know if I'm convinced with Martin O'Neill coming back.
Well, I've put Celtic down then, so I'll give my piece on that as well. I slightly feel that the whole thing that's happened could actually end up having a galvanising effect. It could also go the other way. There's a very good chance it could. But I feel like they've got a very good team there. They do have a core of experienced players to come back from injury as well. They could get Jota back firing, Iheanacho, Carter Vickers in the second half of the season to come under O'Neill. It might actually be a point to prove that the players might want to just come together and be like, we're not shy, by the way. We're quite a good collection of players under a manager that is very much here for the short term. Finally, there was a cloud of sort of uncertainty around his first spell, wasn't there? He's back now for the rest of the season. We know he's going to be there for the rest of the season. One goal, which is going to be to win the league title. And I've just given them that edge because I think we saw the run they went on. They weren't playing brilliant football, but they were grinding out wins in a way that I'm not sure the other teams can. I think Rangers will grind out wins as well, and Hearts they're going to be right there, and they can do it. They 100% can do it.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Currently, I'm it's very recency biased, very reactionary. I almost feel like Rangers are kind of more equipped.
I was going to put Rangers down until yesterday. I had Hearts first, and I changed it to Rangers yesterday. I changed it to Celtic, but Rangers are certainly trending in the right direction as well. And
yeah, they're a sort of weird example of a team that's not flashy, that their fans are not. I don't think they're loving going to Ibrox and watching Rangers at the moment, but they're winning, and they're showing that they hung in at Parkhead on Sunday or Saturday rather for long enough, and then they just turned to screw. Mikey Moore's starting to have an impact. Yusuf Chermiti, who by the way was practically being driven out of Glasgow by every Rangers fan, is now a bit of cult hero.
He's getting there, yeah. From looking up, he did look useless in some games, and then I'm like, how was this price tag came? He's showing some flashes
He's a big
now.
guy. He's a big guy with. He's got a touch. Whether it's quite good enough yet, I'm not sure, but he's shown the ability to score. He's got an eye for goal. I know it's crazy to say he's £8 million for a reason though. Like, okay,
There
might
has
not
to be
worth
something
£8
that
million.
people have seen in him, yeah.
Exactly. He is a good. There's a good striker in there somewhere, and he has shown.
He's not just big. He's not Curtis Main's big, you know.
Exactly. But there's just something about Rangers. They've got the depth. They've got. I think their biggest asset is Danny Rowe. To be honest, he is a good manager. He's come in, steadied the ship. He's shown in the past with Sheffield Wednesday that he can do a lot with not a lot of sort of assets or resources. I just think they might not be the most glamorous title winners in Premiership history, but I think they could possibly, go on and actually. Maybe they just seem a little bit weirdly to say. It's mad to say this, based on the last sort of decade of Scottish football, but it seems like Rangers are actually a little bit more settled than Celtic right now, and they could possibly pose a bit of a threat to Hearts. Basically, what I'm saying is I could feasibly see any one of 5 teams winning. I think Motherwell. I've not even touched on Motherwell. I've just looked at a stat, discussed it with you before this. I was not aware just how good their defensive record is. It is astoundingly good, especially for a team like Motherwell. So if they can keep that up, they'll certainly be there or thereabouts. Attacking wise, they're fantastic as well. I don't know. I think though Hearts have just built up a little bit of a buffer and a little bit too much momentum that I think the other teams might just struggle to chip away at.
I'm just worried when there's going to be another blip to come. Guaranteed there will be a 2 games in a row Hearts will lose or something like that. That's how they recover from that if that does come around, and that's when they'll show their steel as title contenders, which they are capable of doing, as I say, because that gap's not that. I think it's 6 points at this moment in time.
6 points.
That's that one loss, and you're suddenly looking. Oh, it's 1 game off the top for Celtic and Rangers again. So it could go any way. I, for one, I'm looking forward to it. Bottom of the table. Do you want to move on to that, or have you got some more to?
Well, I do. If I can just give a little shout out to Motherwell, because
do you want to do that? Do you want to come to that later on, or
I could do it.
Come to that.
Hibs as well. I feel like they deserve a little bit of sorry. I know
they've came onto the game a wee bit, 3 wins in a row,
but attacking wise, they've got some real assets. I worry with Hibs, and that I worry that Kieran Bowie could be getting lined up by. I think Wolves are in for him. He's the kind of signing I think Celtic should be looking at. I don't want them to, but I hope that. Well, you would think that they would be looking at someone like Kieran Bowie, and Josh Mulligan again is a bit of a risk. He could be snapped up by someone down south or even Celtic or Rangers. So
they're under contract, so they will be in for a payday if they decide to move any of them on. So
for sure, but Hibs fantastic. I love seeing a good strong Hibs team as well, and the fact that they're starting to they're competing. They've got their win against Hearts. I wouldn't completely write them out. I think they're just a little bit far off the top, really, to have too much of a say. But with the way this season's gone, honestly, I would not be surprised if they came into the last 6 weeks of the season within touching distance as well.
I would be, but they are a good team. Bottom end of the table then.
Yes.
Have you put Livingston to go down? Because I have.
I haven't.
What? Bottom?
I haven't. This is having spoken to my Kilmarnock supporting family members. They seem totally disillusioned with the squad, the direction of the club, and I worry for Kelly, tongue in cheek. But I do worry for them a wee bit. I don't know. Neil McCann announced today that he's coming in along with Billy Dodds. I like Neil McCann. I like him as a pundit.
Huge loss for BBC.
Huge loss.
Double swoop there.
Well, I mean, if he's anything like Scott Brown, he'll be doing the weekly games anyway. But I don't know. He's had his difficulties in the past with Dundee, etc.
Did well in Inverness. Very short stint though.
Yeah,
they would have wanted to keep him on, but he couldn't stay on at that point in time. But certainly a manager that. I don't know if they're going to turn it around, because the teams in front of them, you're looking at St Mirren, who Stephen Robinson said they are in a bit of a relegation fight, but they're the most catchable. Dundee are playing some good stuff now under Stephen Presler as well. I don't think they're going to get dragged in. So I think that bottom two could get a bit cut adrift. Livingston, for me, you're lucky I haven't got any Livingston supporting family members, because I think they're doomed. David Martindale's certainly in a comfortable job there. He's not going to be moving on. They've been bringing in new players on long-term contracts as well. So certainly Martindale doesn't seem like he'll be on his way out anytime soon. But you can't go this long without a win. I think the last win was back in August. That's shockingly bad. I can see them being the bottom two. My follow-up question was going to be, because I didn't think you'd put Killy bottom. I was going to say Ayrshire Derby in the playoff finals, man. It's going to write itself.
There'll be no Ayrshire Derby for a while, I think. Kelly will go down, Ayr will go up, and we'll see them in a few years, maybe.
Maybe. So, but you think Livy have enough about them to...
I do. If you're looking at sort of the personnel, I think I would maybe take Livy's squad. I think if the going gets tough, in terms of Premiership quality, I think I would maybe go with Livy's squad at this point in time. Kelly, you worry sort of about players like David Watson. They're Kelly's talisman. I think he's out of contract
end of the year
in the summer, and he's free to speak to other clubs. I like seeing young talent like him at clubs like Kilmarnock, Aberdeen, Hibs, Hearts, and not getting snapped up by the big guns, just for a stronger league. I worry about where his head will be. Will it be a kind of Lyle Cameron, Dundee Rangers kind of situation, or will he, put that to bed and worry about that when it comes to summer? He might even sign a contract extension at Kilmarnock. Who knows? But I think Aberdeen, maybe Rangers, are kind of been sniffing around. So if his head gets turned, it doesn't seem like the kind of guy that would be distracted by things like that. But you just never know. If his head gets turned, if they don't recruit particularly well in January, I kind of struggle to see where their goals are going to come from.
Tyrese John Jules has came in. He's been decent getting in the goals. I think he's a good player. They've extended him to the end of the season. They do have quality in there. Robbie Dees, Lewis Mayo, Brad Lyons midfield, as well as David Watson. I don't think they'll get sucked into the bottom, but I could certainly see them being in the relegation playoffs, and that would be whoever would be in the Championship would be a tough game for them. So
yeah, for sure. It's a toss up. I think I wouldn't be surprised. Again, I'm sitting on the fence here. I wouldn't be surprised if Livy were to get cut adrift and meet the drop. But I don't know. I just think Kilmarnock, it looks a bit difficult for them at the moment. But new manager bounce, and I do like Neil McCann, and I think he's got the sort of the tools to turn it around for Kilmarnock. So
I could see Livy going down with a few games left to go, and almost maybe a bit of contingency planning as well. After, I wouldn't have been shocked if David Martindale wouldn't have minded one more year in the Championship from the time when they went up, maybe just to better equip themselves to be promoted again, and maybe learn from that, come back down, do the same thing again. I don't know how long that cycle can go on for. Certainly you don't want to be a yo-yo club for the rest of the time under your manager, because they certainly seem to be in a place where they're a little bit too good for the Championship, not good enough for the Premiership, but the quality that is needed to survive in the Premiership is pretty high these days. You've seen Falkirk come up and do so well. Championship then, a league that is difficult to get out of. Who do you have winning the division?
There's no question here. I'm not
going to...
Yeah,
no question?
No question at all. St Johnstone.
I put St Johnstone as well, but I think Thistle can put a bit of pressure on, but St Johnstone, certainly the strongest team in the league. They've had their little blip, and they seem to have came out the other side of that now. Sort of almost saw it play out live at Somerset Park when they came back from 2-0 down to win 4-2. They've came on to a bit of form again. Thistle, though, I think they're going to battle. I think they will be there right till the very end of this one, because that's a very good Partick Thistle team. At this moment in time, they've kept their squad together. Ocean Smith's still there. I think he's a key cog for them. Diak getting recalled from Kelty Hearts as well. I think they've got a strong squad, and they'll keep doing what they're doing.
Yeah, I've spoken at length about how much I love Thistle as a non-Thistle supporting football fan. I think they're fantastic to watch. I think they've got a brilliant starting 11. Some of their players I would take at Ayr United in a heartbeat. But St Johnstone they just have that class, don't they? And as you say, we saw it play out at Somerset. In the last 6 games, St Johnstone have conceded in only one of those matches, and it was at Somerset Park. And even when they conceded 2, they were dominant pretty much for the full 90, really. Ayr United scored 2 in the first 14 minutes, I think it was. But after that, it was all St Johnstone, really, unfortunately. And they went on, turned the screw, and won 4-2. Ever since then, they haven't conceded. Kind of struggled up in Dingwall, but taking away the context of the fact that County have had a bad season, that would be a really good result, you would have thought, going into this season, if they were to draw 0-0 up in Dingwall. So I think St Johnstone, they just, where Partick Thistle might pick up, let's say 2.9 points a game, I think St Johnstone will pick up 3. That's the kind of mark. I think St Johnstone are just marginally better in most areas than Partick Thistle. Partick Thistle play sort of electric, scintillating football, and that last minute winner against Morton as well was
brilliant goal, Tony Watt, yeah.
Beautiful goal. And they've got that in them, but I just think St Johnstone, unfortunately for the Jags, I think they've just got a little bit too much.
I think it's off days for me. I think if Thistle have an off day, it's more likely to occur. If Logan Chalmers and Fitzpatrick aren't on their game on a certain day, both of them are brilliant players, love watching them play, could both have an off day here and there, and then I don't think they've quite got the same quality that St Johnstone do to grind out those games. And certainly their home form this season's been absolutely phenomenal for our Hill, but maybe just home and away, they'd have to pull that all together again as well. It's such a difficult place to go, but away from home, still been good, of course, but maybe they haven't had that same sort of formidable force where teams do go to Firhill now, and it's probably the most difficult place. It's definitely the most difficult place in the league to go because they can really suck teams in. But St Johnstone rolling in the right direction. Sima Valakari, I think he's a touch of class as well. Had a couple question marks over him when they did go on that bad run. St Johnstone fans doubting them a bit. I was at St Johnstone away with Rafe not long after that cup defeat, and a few boos coming out sort of half time when it was 0-0, even the end of the game, but not too many. I think Valakari keeps positive, keeps his team on the right tracks, and recently seen him doing sort of promo on the pitch. I don't know if you saw those videos, half season tickets on sales. He's just a touch of class in local schools. Did you see the video of him getting the kids jumping and everything? There's a lot of stuff to enjoy about them. So I'm tipping them to go on all the way, I think.
Yeah, I think so. They've just shown, I think, in the early part of the season, or first half of the season, they're just better than everyone. I think teams obviously have shown that they can compete. Arbroath have done a number on them. But when that does happen, it doesn't happen often, and they've shown that they can come through it. I think they're just better in throughout their squad than Partick Thistle are. If you go 90 minutes toe to toe, Partick Thistle versus St Johnstone, I would almost back Partick Thistle to win.
That huge win that Thistle had recently. I wasn't surprised by that at all.
Yeah,
they beat them
not at all. Yeah, but it's just, as we say, it's like Partick Thistle away to Airdrie or Partick Thistle away at Queen's Park, or these kind of games. I think they're more likely to slip up in the running than St Johnstone are. So that's why I'm just giving the edge to St Johnstone. But again, as I've said previously, not to sit on the fence too much, but if Partick Thistle were to close the gap, I wouldn't be overly surprised. But I think I'm just going to give it to St Johnstone. I think they've built up a nice enough buffer so far, and they've just shown that they've just got that little bit extra edge.
Yeah, they've got that cushion at the minute. I think they'll keep that going. Down at the other end of the table then, things have been quite juicy down at this end of the table. Fraser, who do you have finishing bottom of the Scottish Championship?
This is where I'm less sure. I think I'm going to just have to give it to Queen's Park.
I've put Queen's Park as well. Yeah. Ross County have been by far, not even pound for pound, just in general, the worst team in the league. They've been a bad watch. Stuart Kettlewell's gone in though. You think he'll have this different sort of outlook on it than Tony Docherty would have done. They'll still talk of the playoffs when Tony Docherty came in. That's what they would have been wanting to get. Maybe close that gap down at the top of the table. Stuart Kettlewell's gone in, and he would have a very simple sort of manifest coming in. Keep the team up. They're 6 points cut adrift at this moment in time, but there should be changes in January as well. It's a huge squad. They need to cut down some of the players, bring quality, some key areas probably, but I can see them staying up, and I just don't think Queen's Park quite have the same firepower. Callum Smith coming in from Rafe, I think that was a good addition for them, but even with him coming in as well, he can chip in maybe 5 goals to the rest of the season, try and take a bit of that load of Josh Fowler. But if teams keep Josh Fowler quiet in general, I don't think Queen's Park have much chance. The home record's not been too formidable either, so I think they're just going to be the ones that get sucked in down at the bottom of Airdrie. As we mentioned before, we're big fans of them as well, under Aaron Taylor Sinclair, who is got his Christmas gift. He is their permanent manager now.
Certainly got his gift from Santa, which I think was richly deserved because, they've been playing some of the best football in the Championship.
It was quite unfortunate timing. We did release that clip just after they'd been pumped by Queen's Park at home, which was a result I certainly didn't see coming. 3-0. Queen's Park did take off them, something to show they do have something about them. I don't think they're definitely not getting cut adrift in this division. So,
well, that's the thing. They do have something about them, and they're not. Ayr United struggled to break them down at Lesser Hampden. It was finished 0-0 when they played with an extra man for about 80 minutes of the game. So
the Rovers haven't beat them this season either. So 2 draws. Yeah,
they have something about them. They're a decent side. Josh Fowler is one of, if not the best player in the league at times, and he's much of the reason why they are where they are. So they have star power. They are a good team, but just looking at the rest of the clubs in the division, there's only 10. One of them has to go down. It's just who is that 10th team going to be? I mean, we have said it time and time again. Ross County at some point need to sort of realise their potential, and they will, I think. And with Stuart Kettlewell coming in, I would back them. They've shown in their last game against St Johnstone that they do still have life about them yet, and I think they just have more quality throughout the squad, and they have more potential than I think Queen's Park have. So that's why I've gone for Queen's Park to get relegated. I think Airdrie, as we discussed, they've got clearly too much about them now. Aaron Taylor-Sinclair done a fantastic job. Morton will be fine. They'll push on to finish 7th, 6th in the league, I reckon. And then the rest of them, I think it's between the rest of the clubs. They'll shooting out for the playoffs, or the promotion playoffs. So I on that criteria, I think Queen's Park, unfortunately for them, whilst it might not be fully deserved, I think they just lack the least firepower out of all the other clubs in the division. So for that reason, Queen's Park, you're out.
Yeah, that's probably who I've just about tipped as well. As I say, you do expect County to do it at some point. They just have to, I think, trim a bit of the fat of the squad, as I mentioned before. Like I was at Ross County before, looking up behind me in the stand, Nicky Clark sitting in the stand, looking quite disillusioned actually. That he's not even making the bench for that team. And players like that, Sean Mackey's arrived on loan. I don't think he's played a minute, and just so many players in that squad that aren't contributing, and other players getting loaned out. Aaron Lyle at Emsley, players that certainly do have the quality to contribute, certainly to a team in the Championship, but they've not been. So, sorry, I think my phone's popping off there. I thought it was on mute there. I was very confused. But I do expect County to do it, and I think they just do need to, which they've done. They've been honest and said, we are in a relegation fight, and that's probably the best thing for them to look at these key matchups. Game against Queen's Park are going to be absolutely vital for the rest of the season if they're not getting called off for a frozen pitch 20 minutes before kickoff. So County will be hoping to turn it around. I've just said Queen's Park will go down. League One then. We're getting onto this. The mighty Stenhousemuir are leading the way. One of my more local teams these days. I was there playing on, to say that was a frozen pitch last night. My sevens, my goodness, that pitch was solid down at Stenhousemuir. But they're leading the way. And certainly when you thought Inverness might be pulling away from everyone else, Stenny brought them back with a fantastic win in a top-of-table clash not too long ago, beating Inverness 1-0. Fraser, who do you have winning League One?
Sorry, it's a little bit boring, but Inverness.
I've put Inverness as well. So certainly this time Stenny are leading the way, but Inverness 1 point behind, but 2 games in hand, crucially. And obviously they've had that 6-point deduction as well. They would find themselves 5 points clear with 2 games in hand if it wasn't for that. They do have that point deduction, it is influential to say. But Inverness, so much quality in their squad, tipped them at the start of the season to go all the way. And I think they'll just put their foot down for the rest of the season. And shout out to Alloa, have been solid all season. Queen of the South, that have possibly been in the best form in League One, but Inverness, you're still tipping them to carry on.
Yeah, again, it's much like St Johnstone. I think they just have the best squad in the league, the most firepower. They've absolutely did a number. I know it was the Challenge Cup against Dumbarton, but any team that scores 9 goals in any game, professional game in Scotland.
Not looking too good for you, man. Ekropont in goal there. I know you're a big fan.
That was one of my other predictions at the start of the season. Not fantastic, but you'll learn from that. And when you're coming up against an in-form Alfie Babbage, the Bav, then things like that they might happen it from time to time. But yeah, they put 9 past Dumbarton obviously in the Challenge Cup. They've struggled. Obviously lost to Montrose, lost to Stenhousemuir, so they've kind of stuttered a little bit in recent times. But again, teams like that, I think against Montrose they went a man down. So there's sort of mitigating factors maybe for that happening. The clubs, no club in Scotland is going to go without a sort of blip at some point in the sort of 36, 38 game season. So if that's come now for Inverness, we'll see what they're made of in the next couple of matches. I suspect they'll be fine. They're 2 matches, as you say, 2 games in hand over Stenhousemuir, and I think they just have too much. But credit to Stenhousemuir because they're knocking on the door. Queen of the South as well, not too far off, and Alloa, as you say. But I think all those teams will push Inverness, but I think they'll just begin to open up towards the end of the season. So
yeah, I could see that. I could see them pulling off a little bit, and even if it did become a title race at the end of the year, just the experience of their squad, they've certainly got the most experienced players like Wotherspoon, Chalmers in there. I think they can sort of be the steady heads, and obviously the firepower of the likes of Alfie Babbage as well, as you mentioned. Could see them through. Other end of the table, then we do have a bit of a battle going on down there. Who do you have finishing bottom of League One? I've gone to Hamilton Accies. I think that's probably the way it's going to go. Yeah, obviously there's a lot of off the field stuff we're not too sure, and with all these point deductions that have hammered them, they find themselves on 16 points, same as Cove, I believe. Kelty 3 points behind. Kelty, I think they've shown a couple shoots of life recently. A big win away to East Fife and a draw against Alloa. They're showing a little bit. Their abysmal home form this season's really what's seen them struggle down at the bottom of the table. I think actually their draw against Alloa at home might have been their first points at home all season, which is mental to say. Whilst Cove Rangers, I think they're going to actually comfortably sort of lift themselves away from the situation. Such an injury hit start of the season, but Chris Maguire's gone in, a player you'll know from his time at Ayr United as well. And I love tuning into their highlights now. I think he's 36, but Stroll on it. Played a bit deeper at times, but he's gone into that number 10 position from the start. He's dictating games. They brought Greg Stewart in, who unfortunately did get injured in his second game, so we've not seen much Greg Stewart. And I think both their deals expired this week. I'm sure they'll want to keep Chris Maguire on for the rest of the season. I don't know what the situation is with Greg Stewart, but they've just got more bodies, which is probably the crucial thing. Games at the start of the season with one outfield player on the bench, Mitch Megginson having to drop in, play central midfield. You're not seeing that anymore. They've got Ruben McAllister in on loan from Hibs as well, I believe. It's Ruben McAllister, I think his name is. I always see it as Al McAllister, actually. That's how I remember it. It's not Rory McAllister. Ruben, he's gone in, just adding more bodies up there, which I think they desperately needed. But Chris Maguire's dictating things at times. 4-0 win away at Peterhead. 5-2 at Kelty Hearts. They look great.
Did you see his goal against Peterhead?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
That's just, if you ever want to just see someone with genuine class shine
just floating for a game
above everyone else,
yeah.
That goal, I think, that was it. He looked like he didn't really even need to think about that. It's just
brilliant to watch.
Total muscle memory. But
I was hoping to see Greg Stewart ball out as well.
I know.
But we've not seen much of him.
It's a bit of a shame. I would be really quite nervous if I was a Kelty Hearts fan, Montrose fan, Hamilton Accies, when you see Cove Rangers with, I think everyone in Scotland probably thought they were dead and buried maybe a month or two ago, and they look like they could go on and win the league.
You never know, but certainly Hamilton as well. I think it's fair to say that we should start off by saying huge relief to see them getting taken over by Rob Edwards. Just great to see that Hamilton can be back on a sort of a level playing field, paying their staff, paying their players. That's the most important thing. Edwards did say this week as well that what's happening on the pitch is not really of material concern anymore, that it's just about, getting through to the end of the season. It'll be a tough one for them. If that does mean relegation, at least they've got a club and they can rebuild from then. So I think they will probably go down. I don't know, there's more point deductions to come. It's kind of difficult to call, but yeah, I can see that being a bit of a get out of jail free for Kelty, but they have shown a few shoots of life anyway. So it's a phrase that we're not really thinking that Cove are going to get sucked into things as well. Montrose, it looks like they're picking up a bit of steam as well.
Yeah, they are both kind of flying at the moment, actually. I think what's crucial when you look at relegation fights, when they're talking the English Premier League, it's about what they do, what the teams that are in the fight do, and how they get on against the teams around them. And Kelty Hearts have kind of struggled in their recent games, particularly against Cove Rangers and I think Montrose as well. Cove Rangers in their last 2 matches have scored 9 goals. That game away, obviously up in Peterhead, winning 4-0, and they beat Kelty Hearts 5-2. Mitch Megginson with 4 goals in 2 games, so he's back as you mentioned. And Montrose have won 4 in their last 5. We discussed previously, obviously, they beat Inverness, and Blair Lions and Callum Sandilands are on fire really at the moment, getting on the score sheet and getting assists. So I think those 2 teams look like maybe it's a bit naive to look at 5 games like that and think Montrose will be fine because they've won 4 or 5, but they look like they've got enough about them. And I think Kelty Hearts may struggle, but as you mentioned, Hamilton are in a sticky wicket at the moment in terms of on the field performances, sort of impacted by their off the field issues. So from their point of view, hopefully that doesn't impact them too much. But I'm going to say that Kelty Hearts just don't quite have enough.
No, I could see that definitely. And as I say, Montrose flying in form. Lewis Gibson, shout out to his good self as well, coming back to Rafer Rovers. I think he'll be a loss for them, but they've certainly shown that they've got enough quality in that squad to keep going. And Cove, as you say as well, they're in a position now where Mitch Megginson could be a player coming off the bench, or David Agyabor as well, who's shown he can score goals, can be coming off the bench. That's a great position to be on. Just have quality throughout their squad. So I think they'll be just fine. League 2 then. Spartans have ran away of things a little bit at the top. 8 points clear. Who do you think is going to be lifting that trophy though?
Pass.
You're not?
No, I can't.
You have to. Got to choose one.
If I have to, EK.
I've put East Kilbride as well, just because I said that at the start of the season.
Yeah.
So sticking to my where I stood on that one. From
Your guns.
My guns. Sticking to my guns. That's it. Yeah. Sticking to them. Spartans, I think, consistently have been the best team in the league. East Kilbride, kind of exactly what I think we spoke about at the start of the year as people that had been fortunate enough to see them in the Lowland League. Yeah. We knew what they were going to be like, and they've been exactly what you expected. Teams can work them out. Teams know what they're going to do, and if you're hard working, disciplined, you can pick the ball off them, score goals against them. I saw them. Results like when they're in the Lowland League haven't really changed too much, where they could be flying, they could pump a team one week, but then I think they lost 7-0 to Trinent. I remember that in the Scottish Cup. And I was like, oh, there's something a bit odd about that. And you've seen that on a few occasions since they made the step up. But 8 points off top, they've got a game in hand, and the next match is huge. And by the weekend, we might look silly because they are playing the Spartans at K Park. Going to be a huge game. Really looking forward to seeing what happens in that one. I fancy East Kilbride to win it. I think the quality they've got. John Robertson having his own goal of the season, contending. Did you see the goal he scored? Who were they playing? Was it Clyde? Was it? I can't remember who it was. I wish I could say, but cut in on his left foot, hit it top corner. Time and time again, he's done it. The Iron Robin sort of move. Quality in their squad. If they win that game, narrow the gap down to 5 points with a game in hand. Spartans have shown a few signs of fragility this season. They've tried to sort of change their style of play at times and almost been a bit easy to pick the ball off at times, and had some really bad results at home as well. I think Starling Albion 4-0 comes to the top of my head where they just got picked off. Maybe that was a one-off, who knows, but there's been a few occasions, a few too many, where they've shown signs that they're a bit fragile, but I wouldn't be shocked at all if the Spartans did go on to win the league title, because East Kilbride are quite inconsistent themselves, and Clyde and Strander, I think they've just got a bit too much to do if they wanted to pull themselves into that conversation.
Yeah, I think it's between East Kilbride and Spartans, as you say. Shout out to Clyde and Stranraer. The fact that Stranraer are even in the conversation now, when you consider where they were at the start of the season, is quite phenomenal. But I think, the two outstanding teams in the league are Spartans and East Kilbride. The game, obviously, between the two sides is coming up is crucial, I think. If East Kilbride win that, we've got a title race in our hands. If Spartans win that, it's beginning to become a little bit ominous for East Kilbride. The gap's maybe a little bit too much to make up. I just think, as you say, East Kilbride, again, they've got the firepower. I think the quality that they have, they're the highest scorers in the league. The next highest scorers are Edinburgh City on 31. East Kilbride have scored 34. They can score goals from anywhere. John Robertson, I think there was, I think it was maybe against Stranraer last month or in November, where he just picked the ball up in his own half, ran from the halfway line and scored. The quality that maybe it was for now you mention it, but the quality that they have throughout their squad is significant. Spartans are on a seriously good run of form. They've won their last 3. East Kilbride are winless in their last 3. So, it doesn't look great for East Kilbride at this point in time. But as you said, They've got a game in hand, 5 points, separating the two teams when East Kilbride are on a bad run of form and Spartans are on a good run of form. Suggests that, the tide might turn, and when it does, I would expect East Kilbride to sort of close the gap again. So it's interesting. They've been doing a wee dance kind of all season. The two clubs, neither of them really want to take initiative.
Does feel a bit like that, yeah.
Spartans now are. So maybe I should give them more credit, because for the first time really this season, there's a team that actually looks like they kind of want to go on and really actually win the league.
Yeah. I can see the Spartans doing it from that point of view. Interesting to see what East Kilbride do this month as well. I think Mick Kennedy must have restless leg syndrome or something like that. Now he can't be doing transfers constantly, because we've got straight to January and there's been players quickly out. A couple of players going to Edinburgh City, we'll probably touch on in a second as well. And he may have a couple of big tricks up his sleeve. We'll wait and see what happens. They're down at the other end of the table then. Who do you have going down? So Edinburgh City still bottom of the table, but they've obviously had that huge points deduction to deal with. They would be sitting up there just behind East Kilbride if they didn't have that. They have obviously closed that gap down to 5 points on Dumbarton. Who do you have finishing bottom?
Stirling Albion.
Bold claim there. Yeah, I've gone for Dumbarton, who are occupying that 9th position. I know you got a bit of a soft spot for them.
I do have. I think I've voted with my heart over my head here, if I'm being honest. But
Albion and Elgin as well, both on 20 points. I think it's going to be a high points tally, whoever finishes 9th as well. City, I think they're going to be just fine. They've added extra quality to their squad this January. I think the main thing they actually just needed was extra bodies in there, but there is quality, and the Uzi C coming back is going to add a lot of quality. Jamie Walker, who something I'm a big fan of for his time at the Cali Braves. You didn't see as much of him, but he's quality. To me, he's a left back. If you've not seen him play, long blonde hair and quality on the ball, and attacking full back. And I think he's someone that can go up and play full-time football. I really do think he's that good. So they've added quality to their squad. They'll be just fine. I think Albion have quality in their the squad. They really do have game winners. Ross Cunningham, Adam Brown, Ryan Shanley, Rusty as well, Rusty McLean. They can score goals, they'll be fine. And Elgin, I didn't actually realise they were on equal points on 20. It's not actually that far off. Dumbarton are the ones. They've shown a couple shoots of life under Frank McEwen, but I think it's maybe just too much for them to turn around, and could be a difficult end to the season for them. So
Stirling Albion to go down, I don't have much really to back that up. I quite like Dumbarton. I've seen quite a bit of them this season. I think they've got a lot to offer. I've spoken about Scott Tomlinson. I think he's a brilliant little winger. I was actually talking to a Dumbarton fan this week, and he was talking about the quality that Scott Tomlinson has. The only problem is Stirling have maybe equal quality, and Scott Tomlinson, perhaps very good player, but maybe hasn't backed that up with sort of the numbers that you need in those areas. But they've got Leighton McIntosh up front. They've got a good squad, some really good experienced players. I just think Dumbarton, they've got the ability, if they want to, they can play good football. They've shown that they've had some big wins this season. They started the season well, but as we discussed, they've lost 9-0 away to or was it at home to Inverness actually? They've lost 9-0 to Inverness. Losing 9-0 to anyone is not a good sign at all. Stirling Albion, it's kind of a similar story really, because you would expect a little bit more. As you said, they've got they've got a lot of firepower up front as well, but it's just maybe not clicking. So it's a similar story to kind of the Championship, bottom of the Championship. I think Dumbarton, it would maybe be harsh on any of the clubs to go down, because they're all kind of evenly balanced. Elgin City, not only a few weeks ago, were kind of knocking on the door of the playoffs, and now they are knocking on the door of the relegation playoffs, so they could be sucked into it as well. I just think Stirling Albion have, for too long they kind of flirted with the drop this season, and I think if Dumbarton can get their act together, will just climb their way out. I think Edinburgh City, whilst it's not a foregone conclusion, I think they do just have too much. Michael McIndoe has got them playing good football, and they're, as discussed earlier, the second highest scorers in the league, so they will continue to score goals. They're also, porous at the back at times as well, but I think they've got too much quality to go down, so I think they'll close the gap. So for that reason, it's more just for what I think is the quality of the other clubs and the ability for the other clubs to kind of go on a good run of form. I think Stirling Albion might just find themselves in 10th place, but again, I'm not certain on that one at all.
All to play for down there. Fraser, we're going to finish this off very quickly then. We've got a wild card pick each. Now, we both had to agree we weren't going to say Scotland's going to win the World Cup, unfortunately, as much as we believe it. But what we do have is some hot takes to come here. I'm going to give us no rebuttals on this one, all right? We're going to have a minute each to say our hot take. Do you want me to go first?
Absolutely, take it away.
It's not really a hot take. It's just a wild card take. My take is going to be that Bonnyrigg Rose are going to be promoted back to the SPFL.
Fantastic, yeah. Back that up, Callum.
So the Lowland League, the title race is very exciting, as we thought it was going to be coming into the season. Bonnyrigg Rose have actually notched up 10 straight wins in the league as well. They're in great form. They started off the season away from New Dundas Park as they were getting that terrible pitch sorted out. They've got it sorted out. They're back home now, and since then they've not lost a single game. They've closed the gap down to Clydebank, who kind of look like they might be running away with it at one point. That gap's closed down to 4 points. They've got a game in hand. They beat Clydebank already. They've got a squad full of quality as well. Fraser, I don't know if you know much about the Lowland League squads these days. Now we're not with the Braves anymore. But this squad, they've got Billy King. Remember him, winger, played at a good level. Dundee United. Callum Higginbotham, one of my favourite players that's been sort of in the Lowland League for a few years. Alassane Jones in midfield, Swedish midfielder. This guy's quality. I've always enjoyed watching him play. Neil Martinuke's still there as well. Left back, high scoring player we've spoke about from left back in League Two. But what they do have as well is they've got a legend of the club in charge of them, Johnny Stewart. He was managing Tranent before, went into Bonnyrigg Rose. I'm sure there's maybe one eye on. They wanted to stay up, of course they did, but it was a big job to take on as well. They were so solid under Robbie Horn for many years. Coming back into the Lowland League, they did at least have a manager that had managed in the league. He'd been promoted from the league as a player. He knows it inside out. And I'm going to push them to go for the title. They've also got in goal, they've got Ross Connolly, who was a great addition as well from my time being in the Lowland League. He was at Albion Rovers before. I think he was one of the three best goalkeepers in the Lowland League. Barney White, of course, at the Braves, and Cammy Benny at Linlithgow Rose as well, who have had to deceive a little bit at Linlithgow as well. I thought they'd be right up there with Clydebank. Broxburn, they're in red hot form as well, and I think they're trending in the right direction. But I'm just about tipping Bonnyrigg to jump straight back up at the first opportunity. The Highland League title race, that's fantastic as well. It's going to be an entertaining end to that one, but I'm just about giving Bonnyrigg the tip for that one.
Listen, Callum, I kind of thought Clydebank were going to run away with it, but in recent times, Bonnyrigg are in very good form, as you say. The league is hotting up at the top end.
And the Braves are only 9 points off top as well. They could claw themselves into it. So, Lowland League, it's going to be entertaining. Fraser, have you got anything to add to Lowland League, or do you want to give us your take?
I'll go straight into my take. So, my wild card for 2026 is that I believe Motherwell will split the...
Well, we knew Hearts wanted to do it come in the year, but Motherwell, take it away.
Yeah, I'm totally on board with Motherwell this season. I'm on the Jens Bertel Askew train. They're playing phenomenal football. They are flying. They've not conceded. I think they've conceded 1 goal in 9 games. That was in their 1-0 loss to Rangers at Ibrox. They're playing phenomenal football. At the back, they're solid. At the front, they're electric. It must be an exciting time to be a Motherwell fan, and I just think the way that they're going, I think they can compete with any team in the league. So if the chaos that surrounds Celtic Park right now continues, if Rangers kind of don't quite catch fire like they're hoping they will, and Hearts just stumble a little bit, I think there's a real opportunity for Motherwell to capitalise. I absolutely love possibly one of my favourite players in Scotland at the moment, Elijah Just. Elliot Watt is on fire. Callum Slattery is just strolling about the park like he owns it. And you've got Tawanda Mazwanise, red hot form from AFCON, coming back and getting back in the score sheet. So big times coming from Motherwell.
I'd love to see it. They've been so good to watch this year. So we'll wait and see that happens. But Fraser, should we jump into some challenges? Absolutely. 2 challenges to finish off this video. You've jumped to sit next to me now as well for challenge time. Which one do you want to start off with?
Let's go with yours.
We'll go with mine.
Yeah.
Right. Aberdeen jobs came up, obviously. Jim and Tilleen, his time has came to leave Aberdeen. That does mean they're going to need a new manager. So look, Fannin style. I mean, that's that. He was not just known for stealing penguins. He's trying to hide that, I think. But He's been talking then about Aberdeen and how they need a new manager, of course, and possibly getting a bit more of a Scottish imprint on the squad as well, is what he's mentioned as well. So we are going to look through the bookies' favourites for the job, and we're going to say if we think they'd be a good fit for it, if they're not going to be a good fit for it. So, Fraser, out of these Aberdeen managerial candidates, who do we think would do a good job? So the bookies' favourites right now, 11 to 10, Stephen Robinson, St Mirren.
Yes.
You think yes?
Absolutely, of course. Anywhere he's been in Scotland, he's had a positive impact. I think he would go in. I think he would have a similar impact to Aberdeen as maybe Derek McInnes. Similar mould of manager, maybe slightly similar style of play. I think he would get the best out of this Aberdeen squad.
Yeah, well, I do and I don't at the same time. I think certainly short term, he'd get results out of players. You say he's got a great track record with it. But just his style of football, they've spoken about how they want a high intensity, a high pressing game. Maybe doesn't suit Stephen Robinson. I'm not sure we'd get the best out of players like Keskinen and Carlson, who are two of their best players, whilst another manager maybe would. But certainly, it's difficult to look past his track record, certainly what he's done at St Mirren. He is a bit sort of flavour of the monthy, having just came off a cup win. I think that helps his case out a lot. But yeah, you can't argue the track record. And if they do want someone that knows the Scottish game inside out, I think the team needs to be a bit more streetwise. They need to be a bit stronger, a bit more solid, a bit more difficult to play against. Stephen Robinson would do that. However, long term, you did see the issues that Aberdeen fans had with Derek McInnes was about play style. So maybe long term he wouldn't be the answer. But certainly for now, it's kind of difficult to say no to him.
Yeah, I think play style. I think if you ask any St Mirren fan, any Motherwell fan, what their thoughts on Stephen Robinson's play style is, I'm sure it would be secondary to the fact that he's been hugely successful for them. And if you look at Derek McInnes' reign at Aberdeen, they've not reached the heights since Derek McInnes left. Since then, so I think if Stephen Robinson was to have anywhere near the sort of success that Derek McInnes would at Aberdeen, then I think he'd be a great success. So personally, as an Aberdeen fan, it might not be the sexiest of appointments, but I think it would be certainly a success.
It'd be a sensible one, certainly. Second favourite for the job at this moment in time. So, second favourite, Scott Brown of Ayr United. Fraser, sat there in your Ayr shirt. Your manager's lined up to the job. Scott Brown, we know he'll partly be getting linked because he is a very big name in Scottish football. Of course, ended his playing career at Aberdeen. Do you think he'd be a good fit for the job?
No, terrible fit. Hands off, Aberdeen. Hands off. But real talk, not really. I don't know if he would be what they're looking for right now. Maybe, he's done well at Ayr United. But if they're looking for, as you say, that sort of high intensity kind of playing style, then I don't know if Scott Brown's going to really bring that. Maybe with the squad, Aberdeen have got a really strong squad and some really good players. But if you look at the kind of, Dom Thomas at Ayr United's kind of been frozen out the squad almost, or the starting 11. A player like, Carlson, is he going to flourish under Scott Brown? I'm not so sure. So I think he would do well. I don't think he's the best option for Aberdeen.
No, I'm not convinced of what he's done at Ayr United certainly just yet. Yeah. I think he's had a lot of learning to do as well as their manager, and a few years in, I've not really seen him bed too much in at Ayr United over that time, in terms of consistent growing. So I think he'd be getting it on name more than anything else, and a big name, be a lot of eyes, be a lot of scrutiny on what he's doing, and it would be a no from me, I think, if I was an Aberdeen fan at this moment in time, certainly. Yeah. Right, third man lined up. Third favourite for the job is Jens Bartholascu of Motherwell.
100% he would be a success.
Yes.
Yes. The only thing is, it's not going to happen, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't know if it's that forward of step for Bartholascu. I think at some point he should have his, eyes set on a bigger job at some point if he was going to move on from Motherwell. But at this moment in time, why would you go from Motherwell to Aberdeen? Obviously, Aberdeen are a big club. I'm not saying they're not a big club, but Motherwell are fantastic players that have been signed to play under him. They've all got attributes that suit his play style, that he's able to really sort of push to the limits as well. And he's in a good position where he is right now. I think wouldn't be the right move, I don't think, for him.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessary for him. I think if Jens Bartholascu continues on the trajectory that he's currently on with Motherwell, I think he'll be looking for maybe a bigger job in the future than Aberdeen. Not, as you say, not that Aberdeen is not a big club, but I think Bertolascu's got such potential that he could be reaching for the stars.
And then our final one we're going to do before we get into some of the more rogue shouts is unnamed foreign manager. It's the next favourite up. So we've got 3 German managers coming in at 6-1. We've not heard of any of them. I'm not sure the followers would have heard them either. A left field appointment, though, effectively, Fraser. Do you think that would be a possible way to go for them again?
Yeah, 100%. Jimmy Tillin, he brought them a trophy and he had a great impact on the club. His links further abroad brought in players like Carlson that, they might not have otherwise got. And if you look at, for example, Jens Bertolascu and Motherwell's approach and going for, I think he was the second in command at Copenhagen, if they can find a gem like that, then absolutely I think it could be a way for them to go. But they shouldn't set out for just a foreign manager. They shouldn't set out just for a Scottish manager. I think they just need to find the person that's right for the job.
No, of course, 100%. For me, I would probably say no. I think they could do with just being a bit more streetwise as a Scottish Premiership team. It's always a risk when you bring in a manager. Yeah, they could be a Jens Bertolascu, but at the same time, they could be like that Italian bloke at Kilmarnock. I forgot his name, but
Vincent.
You don't want to end up like that anyway. So I think this moment in time, a less risky appointment is the way to go. They've talked about bringing more of a Scottish identity onto their squad as well. If you're looking at players, you could bring in maybe your Luke Grahams of the world, David Watson's being available as well. Snap them up before someone else does. Maybe Lyle Cameron not get much game time at Rangers, and with a manager that can certainly utilise them and bring a bit of more battle to their squad that I think they need to get through games. So I think that's all our candidates we're going to cover. Peter Leven, of course, is in charge for the next couple of games against Rangers. One of them will be played already by the time this podcast comes out. Maybe a chance for him to prove what he can do as well, but I think they'd probably like to have a permanent manager in for a big tie against Raith Rovers in a couple of weeks in the Scottish Cup. So you don't want to mess around in that one.
You do not, absolutely not.
No. So right, one more challenge to come, Fraser. I believe you're taking the lead on this one.
Yeah, I do apologise in advance, Callum.
That's always good to start off with that.
This is going to be tricky. I would find this tricky, but I believe in you because if anyone's cut out for this, it's Callum Ratchet.
Okay, I'll do my best.
And off the back of what was a scintillating performance for a Queen of the South centre half against Hamilton, I have come up with the following challenge. There have been 7 defenders to score hat-tricks in the SPFL since its inception in 2013. Can you name them?
That's tough. Well, obviously, a bit of flavour of the month, as you mentioned there. Recently, Matty Douglas with a fantastic hat-trick for Queen of the South. Has to be the first answer on there.
Correct, yes. I'm not quite sure how I worded that there. I should say one of the players is on this list twice. So 6 players have done it on 7 occasions.
Okay, right. Interesting. I'm struggling already, to be honest, Fraser. This is quite a difficult question. One man that does stick out, though, is Andy Considine.
Correct. Yep, he did it for Aberdeen in their 7-0 win against Dundee. That was back in 2017 in the Premiership.
All right, and you're only counting in the league.
In the league.
In the league, yeah. Of course, J. Rowe scored a hat-trick for Rafe recently from right back, but that was in the Challenge Cup against the Hamilton Kiddies.
I might need to give you some... I will give you some hints.
Is there any more recent ones on there?
2023.
Okay, so not too recent.
Not particularly recent. This is quite an obvious one.
Is it? Okay. Was it Premiership team?
No, it was Championship at the time. Quite a prolific centre half. Still going. Close. No, I'll not say that. That'll give it away too much.
A prolific centre half.
Good career.
Good career.
Takes penalties.
Was Aaron Muirhead? No. An Air United player.
Never said that.
Kevin Holt?
Correct.
Okay.
He did it. He did it for Dundee United, actually.
I feel like that rings a bell.
Against Partick Thistle in a 5-0 win.
Right.
In
Yeah.
the Championship.
Yeah.
In October 2023.
I remember the season.
So you've got 3.
Okay.
3 goals to 7.
So all the other ones were previous to that.
Yes. One is particularly close to you, Callum, actually, I would say.
A Rafe player?
Currently, not at the time.
Okay. A current Rafe defender has scored a hat-trick.
Not at the time.
Oh my goodness. I don't think Paul Hanlon scored a hat-trick, or
No, he didn't.
Lewis Stevenson not scored a
he did
hat-trick. I don't think he scored 3 goals in his career, man.
No, sorry, I'm not counting J-Rowe.
No, not counting J. Rowe. Callum Fordyce?
Correct.
Dicey scored a hat-trick.
He was the first one in the SPFL era.
Wow.
By my reckoning. Sorry. Oh, no, yeah. No, I'm correct, sorry. He did it for Livingston in a 5-1 win against Cowdenbeath in the Championship 2013.
Shout out Dicey.
Yeah, there you
Goal scoring machine, man.
go. Dicey.
Okay. Wow.
This is where it
I
gets...
would never have got that, honestly. Wow.
Yeah, this is where it gets tricky. Because one of the players appears twice.
Oh my goodness.
And if you get this, your ball knowledge is truly phenomenal.
It's like a goal scoring left back or something like that.
No. The other one is an incredibly famous player, but not known for playing centre-back. On this occasion, he was playing centre-back. But he wasn't a centre-back for the majority of his career. So this is a little bit of a red herring.
An incredibly famous player.
In Scottish football terms, yeah.
Like, I don't know.
I might need to... We can leave it to the comments.
This is in the SPFL era, is it? No, we won't do that. We'll...
SPFL era, yeah. So.
Yeah. Same. Chris Sutton played a bit of centre back at the end of his career, didn't he? But
No. So this wasn't
is this a lower league one as well?
lower league one.
A lower league,
But
well-known player.
think what high... You know what, like, what's the word I'm going for there? High profile.
High-profile striker was playing centre back.
Not striker.
Oh, not striker.
But what high profile club was in the lower leagues in the SPFL?
Oh, is this a Rangers player?
It is, yes. Not known for playing centre back, but did in the sort of twilight of his career.
Full back or was it midfielder? Midfielder. Oh, I've got no
It's
clue.
kind of synonymous with Rangers of that era.
Ian Black. No.
Bigger.
Bigger. This is a great question. Shout out to Matty Douglas for.
This
Very
is hard. I would really not have managed this myself, but thought I'd lay down the challenge to you, Callum.
You might need to tell me, who is it?
He's played for Scotland. Scored
Played
for Scotland.
Played and scored for Scotland. A big midfielder.
Big midfielder. Not Barry Ferguson.
I don't know why I'm going blank on this one, man.
Similar ilk. Scored against Ukraine for Scotland.
Oh, you're just giving me too many hints now. I've got no clue. Tell me.
Lee McCulloch.
Really? Wow.
Lee McCulloch did it
I wouldn't have
for...
thought about him playing centre back. No.
He scored 2 penalties, actually, at Ibrox
Right.
against Airdrie to win the league.
You might need to.
In League
I've
One.
got a hint for this last one.
This last one is... I'll give you a hint. If anyone at this point in the video has got this, maybe some fans of Bucky Thistle might be screaming at their screen right now. Or, at the time, fans of Elgin City. This is phenomenal. He scored 2 hat-tricks. Wow. One in 2015, one in 2019. He's a centre-back.
And he plays for Bucky Thistle.
He now plays for Bucky Thistle.
I only know one Bucky Thistle defender. Ryan Fife. It's not going to be him.
But his name is Daryl McCarty.
Okay. Yeah. I remember the name of Elgin.
He scored in Elgin City's 4-5 defeat to Annan Athletic, where Peter Weatherson also scored a hat-trick.
Okay.
Phenomenal. Imagine scoring a hat-trick as a centre-back for your team and losing. And the other
That's
team.
gutting, yeah.
That is quite sad. And but then he did it. He repeated defeat. He obviously wanted to really feel the glory. So he repeated defeat against Albion Rovers for Elgin City in League 2 in 2019.
Wow.
So there you go. Do you want one more quick last fact before we finish, Cal?
Go for it.
There was another opportunity for one other player to have added his name to this list. It was Emilio Izaguirre. Had only ever scored 3 goals for Celtic in his career. But against Dundee at Celtic Park, he was on a brace. Celtic got a penalty. He was given the match ball.
Ah,
And he missed.
gutting, man. Gutting.
So Izaguirre could have made the list, but I think he sent it over the bar.
Well, what could have been, eh?
So what it could have been, there could have been a list of 8.
Yeah.
But instead, it was only 7. And Darren McCarty makes up 2/7 of that.
That's an exclusive
impressive,
list to be on that, is yes. Well, Fraser, thank you for putting that research together. Thoroughly enjoyed that.
That was tricky. Thank you to Finn from Football Park Scotland, because it was his article actually that alerted me to
Was it okay?
that
Shout
very
out there
exclusive
then.
list. So thank
Love
you,
that.
Finn.
Good stuff. Right. Any final messages then? Joga Bonito done for another week.
It is. Yeah, it's good to be back. Sorry for the little break, but we had a busy Christmas period.
Busy time.
Working,
Yeah.
working
But
over the Christmas period.
it's a big year ahead. Lots of big things to come. Maybe Heart Midlothian to win the league. Scotland at the World Cup. Still trying to persuade you to get yourself booked along.
Oh no, I'm coming. I just need to book something.
Get it booked.
Yeah, we'll be coming.
We'll be coming down the road. Right. Final message there, Fraser, then. Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, right. Oh, yes.
Having you around your lovely house once again.
Yeah, we've gone for a different location in the living room today.
In the living room. Loved it.
Not the dining room. So yeah, it's pleasure to have you, Callum.
Thank you very much. Thanks everyone for watching, and Fraser.
Joga Bonito is finito.